There have been some amazing Batman games over the years. A few of my personal favorites are Batman Returns on the SNES, Batman on the Mega Drive, and of course one of the best games ever made, Batman: Arkham Asylum. I loved everything to do with Batman when I was a kid, from the Camp Adam West TV show to the Fantastic Comics. As you can imagine, my excitement levels went through the roof when I saw the box art for the first ever Batman game in my local computer game shop. It depicts a great image of the Caped Crusader looking mean and moody, ready to fight crime. Let's just say the box art Batman and the character you play in the game couldn't be more different. Apart from the famous cowl and cape, Batman looks nothing like the lean Dark Knight from the cover of the box. In fact, he actually looks a little bit portly as he shuffles around with a slight paunch. That's not to say he is without charm, because if you leave the joystick alone for a few seconds, Batman becomes impatient and starts tapping his foot. Batman the game is created by legendary 8-bit team John Rittman and Bernie Drummond, who would later go on to make Head Over Heels, which is widely regarded as a classic computer game. Batman from 1986 is quite possibly one of the strangest games I've ever played. I thought it was weird then, and I definitely think it's weird now. The first indication that things are a bit strange are the sound options. They are described as nasty, useful, and late at night. Maybe there is some kind of sexual undertone which I'm missing, but they are certainly a bit cryptic. The game itself is an isometric platformer which seems more similar in tone to the Adam West Batman rather than the more modern versions. The story is that Robin has been kidnapped and you must assemble parts of the Batcraft to stop the Joker and the Riddler. Before you can do that, you need to find your equipment, as Batman is almost useless at the start of the game. You need to find a bat bag to store items, bat boots that enable Batman to jump, a bat belt which slows down Batman's descent, and a bat thruster which gives him control when falling. The game is almost silent apart from when you move, and then the spectrum emits a clicking sound as if to resemble Batman's footsteps. You'd think that this would grate on you, but it's strangely hypnotic. What isn't hypnotic is the jarring death tune, which is enough to drive you mad, and trust me, you will die a lot. I thought having 8 lives was being generous, but they won't last you long at all. Part of the problem is that Batman moves around so slowly and pretty much everything else is quicker than he is. The enemies are completely bonkers, with giant mouths trying to eat you, pig-faced dogs chasing you, spikes and spinning yo-yos randomly bouncing around, and wolfmen walking about. Come to think of it, they could have written this into the story by saying Batman was suffering hallucinations from the Scarecrow's fear toxin. Some of the rooms are also complete and utter bastards, as you can find yourself entering a room with a moving platform which sends you to an instant death, so success in the game means memorizing the route you need to take. Power-ups give you a temporary speed boost and invulnerability, and whilst it's nice to feel protected for 99 seconds, it's almost pointless if you fall onto a load of spikes, as this means you are just waiting for your inevitable death. When the game is over, it tells you how many parts of the Batcraft you assembled, how many rooms you explored, and how many times you died. In my first playthrough I explored 9 rooms and had a score of 928. Quite how I managed to get this score I'll never know. Although it is insanely difficult, I'm really pleased that I went back and played Batman, because it's actually still very playable and has a lot of charm. It also reminds me a lot of roguelike games which are so popular nowadays. Roguelikes are all about learning the game, dying, learning a bit more, and getting farther than you did before, rinse and repeat. With each playthrough of Batman I improved a little bit, and on my second attempt I explored 18 rooms. You could even say that this game reminds me a lot of Dark Souls. You will die regularly, but with each death you will learn a strategy about how to play the game better next time. If you have a spare 30 minutes, it's worth watching a playthrough for Batman. It absolutely blew my mind that someone could complete it and explore 119 rooms in the process, especially considering how tough the game is. Or if you fancy a real challenge, see how many rooms you can explore before tearing out your hair. If Metacritic and the like has been around in 1986 when Ocean Software released its first Batman game for the Sinclair Spectrum and other 8-bit computers, its average review score would sit at 94%, right up there with Arkham City. What's intriguing is that it's not really a Batman game at all. Yes, you play as the Caped Crusader, but there are no gun-toting crooks to duff up and no sign of arch-enemies like the Joker or the Riddler. In fact, Batman can't punch or kick and doesn't even carry any weapons. There's no Gotham City, no Alfred, no Robin the Boy Wonder, no Batmobile. There is a Batcraft, but you don't get to pilot it. Instead, Batman's goal is to locate the 7 pieces of the Batcraft that have been scattered around the Batcave. Alfred has presumably been busy excavating, as the vast cave is spread over more than 140 screens. Co-inhabiting the cave are an odd bunch of random baddies that appear to have wandered in from some other game. There are smoke monsters, dogs with oversized heads and roller-skating demons. You just need to avoid them or push an object into their paths to block them. There's not much action to speak of. This is an adventure game with an emphasis on puzzle solving. The first problem involves getting Batman kitted out with special bat gadgets. At the beginning of the game he can't even jump, but after some brief exploring you'll find some bat boots which are essential for scaling platforms. You'll also find a magic bag for carrying large objects from one area of a screen to another. With these and other gizmos in your possession you can begin to forge through the game. The screens containing the bits of Batcraft are mini spatial puzzles in themselves. And they're pretty devious, with you often having to manipulate objects and enemies to reach the piece. I must admit that when I played the game back in the day as a 9-year-old, I don't think I managed to grab more than 1 or 2 pieces. Yet I was more than happy just to explore the cave, discover new locations and be a bit baffled by it all. It's hardly surprising to discover that the game didn't start out as a Batman vehicle. Programmer John Rittman has revealed that he admired Ultimate's Night lore and set out to clone it. Once he'd cracked the tech, he and graphic artist Bernie Drummond looked for a suitable hero and Batman seemed to fit the bill. Ocean agreed to license the property from DC Comics and the game began to take shape. You can imagine that Ocean didn't pay a great deal for it, with it being several years before Tim Burton's monster movie took flight. However, it would appear that not everyone involved was reading from the same page. Bob Wackelin's cover art features a square-jawed, muscle-bound Batman that's clearly based on Neil Adams' take on the character from the 70s comics. The striking loading screen by F. David Thorpe references the same Batman era, but here the character adopts a more menacing, shadowy appearance. Yet brilliantly, the game itself borrows the version of Batman from the Camp 60s TV series. After a quick snippet of the show's theme tune, Batman begins the game by sliding down the Batpole and is revealed as a tiny, perfectly drawn version of Adam West. Holy digital doppelganger Batman.